Hey everybody, Cameron here with the Sea Butters channel, and it is kind of the launch, it's the pre-order announcement day of the Quest Meta Pro. But along with that came some other announcements, especially this D-Link, which was announced a little bit before, but finally is available for the common consumer, which is apparently me. And now John Carmack, in his keynote, mentioned this dongle, and he said that this device had a couple of additional details.
And this dedicated dongle has a couple other details that are better than what you could normally get out of a commercial router.
On why it might actually be better than a commercial router. So I wanted to test it out. I can think of a couple use cases for this. I know Godin, the creator of Virtual Desktop, is not impressed with this thing over just having a decent router. And for the money with the router, even Carmack also said that if you have a nice gaming router, you probably may not tell the difference.
But the best commercial routers are pretty darn close to this. If you've got a high-end gaming router, it's probably just as good.
But I'm curious what these details are.
Details that
make this sounds like this should be the ultimate in streaming. I know there's some issues with bridging the internet connection. So like if you want to use this and also play online games, like out of the box, it may not do that supposedly, according to Godin. But I'm going to take a look at it for myself and let you guys know what I find, because they may have updated, tweaked some software. Just another take on this device. So first thing I'm going to do to test this is I'm going to run Airlink. Now I have a brand new computer on the latest version of Windows 11, 7950X processor, and it is, top end. If people actually tested this thing on current hardware, that's what I've got. So sometimes that causes issues though. But first of all, let's see how well Airlink works. At home, so I'll do Airlink over my normal router, and this is a high-end router. I'm using a mesh system. I'm using Ubiquiti, which is high-end. It's high-end stuff. I have the UP6 Pro, and it is a Wi-Fi 6E. Yeah, all the bells and whistles. Super high-end router access point. To be doing this, I'll be using Beat Saber, because Beat Saber still, there's a lot of games which are, fairly quick-paced, shooters and everything, but you don't really notice the latency. Beat Saber, you notice latency if it's happening. So we're going to use that to test. Computer's wired, just to give you the test setup. But yeah, we're going to try Airlink first and see how it goes, and then we'll drop this D-Link in and I'll document the whole process and we'll see how it goes. And maybe there will be a difference, maybe there won't. We'll find out. Okay, so this is the first time we are running this on a brand new Windows 11 install that really haven't installed much except drivers and a few testing items. But I will be using this through SteamVR, because that I think is what at least I'm most interested in now. And that's where I own most of my games, so I will be doing it through SteamVR. So that may introduce things, but we're testing how well it's going to work for general usage. So Airlink. Hey guys, I started to take a bunch of footage using Airlink over the router and realized that trying to record in OBS at the same time you are running Airlink is a bad idea and not indicative of what your experience would be when you're not trying to record at the same time, because it does affect the performance. So what I'm going to show you now is I'll hold my experience and testing results until the very end. Right now, in this point of the video, I'm going to show you how the D-Link is to set up, because it's actually very easy. Let's take a look. Okay, so here is our dongle installed here. I just want to say this is beefy. This is it's like weighted with sand or something. It does say in the instructions it should be kept upright, and all I'm going to do is be plugging this in. All right, we're going to go ahead and plug this guy in. Okay. We have dropped it in and we get VR AirBridge setup. Make sure your headset is on and nearby, because you need to put on your headset to finish setup. This will cause network interruptions. Let's go ahead and continue. Okay. Preparing to connect. So far seems pretty easy. Okay. Time to put on the headset and use the password that we created. Okay, so setup complete. To launch QuestLink, put on your headset and go to quick settings. Okay, guys, I was able to really play around with the D-Link VR AirBridge, and I want to give my thoughts on it. First of all, I was using 120 frames per second on everything, just because after having a valve index, it's really hard to go back even to 90 frames a second on things. So I used everything at 120 on this. Also, the conclusions I draw here, you may disagree with it. Maybe you have your router tuned a little bit differently. I have no doubt that you could probably tune a router to match this VR AirBridge pretty easily, but let me show you what I did find. First of all, I'm going to tell you my experience. So the experience with the router, it ran really well, pretty smooth no matter what I did. 120, you can see a few little hitches on both systems occasionally. However, when I was playing some pretty intense Beat Saber action, I did notice that I don't know if this could be a quality of service issue on my router, where it thinks, hey, this one node is using over 100 megabits. Like, does it really need that much? And then kind of pulled it down just from a quality of service perspective. That could be it. However, let me show you. When I switched over to the D-Link, I just have to say one thing about the installation process, and that was kudos to the setup. I don't know who is that's O2 D-Link or Meta, but this thing installed like that. You plug it in, it shows up in your Oculus, and you set up a password. The setup was very easy. I didn't have to, I really didn't have to play with it. You plug it in, it recognizes it, it says ready, it works. No driver installation, no software package other than the normal Oculus stack. So they really did a good job making sure that this is as easy to use as possible. So from there on in, using the D-Link VR AirBridge, it was just like a normal Airlink. But let me show you what this looks like. The first image here is what the network adapter was sending over the send on the computer, which that is the visual data going out to the Quest 2. So if we look at it just from a how fast was this operating perspective, right here is my router, and you can see that line is 113 megabits per second. You can see that it never really exceeded 113 and kind of bounced around, and occasionally you'd see dips like this. And this is when I was playing Beat Saber. When these dips happened, it would really ruin the experience. It would either cause like a little bit of skipping on the flying notes at me, and it was an issue. You can see that that's probably about 20 megabits per second that it's going there. As compared to the D-Link, exact same song, exact same resolution, exact same hertz on 120. There was better throughput on the D-Link. And like I say, this is very setup independent. However, I will say that this product does what it says it's going to do. Now, whether you're a tinkerer and want to just get a router and do the same thing yourself, that's fine. And most people should do that. In fact, I've run Airlink and virtual desktop quite a bit over the exact same router fairly often without a whole lot of issues. Sometimes I could tell, like I say in Beat Saber, I would see that the performance drop and get some skipping, which is very frustrating actually, especially in Beat Saber. But I will say, using the D-Link, I did not see it. So, I think that if you want a seamless wireless experience and you don't want to mess around with your configuration and you don't want to tweak your quality of service, and I mean, that's the thing, when you're using an access point, I don't know how many Wi-Fi devices I have in the area in my house. A lot. You never know when something is going to suddenly require bandwidth from that access point, and maybe that was some of my issue too. But I mean, I think there is a definite use case for this because it works very well, and I don't have any complaints with the packaging or the setup. And I'd recommend this. I mean, if you want to do wireless VR with your Quest 2 and you don't have a router in your room, I mean, you got to have that router in the exact same room. I think it's worth it. I mean, for it to be integrated fully, and the fact that it's pretty much guaranteed to work, I'm impressed with the setup. And I think that those of you out there who are looking for something that lets you be untethered, I think it's a really great solution. So those are my thoughts. Go ahead and let me know what you think down in the comments, and we'll see you on the next video.